Alright, today we're going to take a quick look at my computer. This is my system right here. I built it about 2 years ago. It's powered by an AMD Ryzen 2700X CPU, an AMD RX 580 GPU, 4GB model. Then I got two SATA3 SSDs here on the front, and I also have two NVMe SSDs integrated into the motherboard. I added a Wi-Fi card as this motherboard does not have built-in Wi-Fi. You'll also notice that while everything else is air-cooled, as you see the three fans at the front and at the top, the CPU is liquid-cooled via an H60i liquid cooler by Corsair. The RAM is DDR4 3200 MHz Corsair RGB RAM, and you can't see it here, but I have two hard drives for longer-term storage. I have a 500GB drive on the back, and I have a 1TB hard drive in the basement. So why are we looking at my computer? Well, I'm about to do an upgrade. I'm going to do an upgrade to this. This is the Sapphire Pulse AMD Radeon RX 5600 XT GPU. So I've been having issues with my RX 580 lately. Adobe Premiere has been having error messages, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare has been crashing out. I alleviated the crashing out issues with Modern Warfare by dialing back my overclock. Not yet been able to figure out what's going on with Adobe Premiere. I have a feeling it's just a software glitch with the legacy titles, but the issue was it would not display video and it would give me an error message if I had any legacy titles in the timeline, unless I turned off the OpenCL encoder and went with software. So I don't know if there's an issue with the video card or if it's really just drivers or software, but hopefully with this new Radeon RX 5600 XT, I won't have to worry about that. So overall, I've been really happy with the system. It's just that it's just time for an upgrade. So this 5600 XT should be a fairly significant upgrade considering the age of my RX 580 4GB card. Additionally, I want to change the aesthetics of this case. As you'll see here, I have my SSDs mounted somewhat awkwardly, though they are mounted securely, and then you'll see that there are these cutouts that have no ventilation behind them. Traditionally, people would mount fans here, but it doesn't really make sense because there's no ventilation ports on the back of the case. I tried mounting the SSDs in a more traditional fashion. Unfortunately, the power cords get in the way of the mounting, so I had to mount them this way. I will cover up these cutouts, and then I will be moving the SSDs to the back side. I'll probably just be mounting them with Velcro. They are SSDs, they don't have any moving parts. I want this area here to be just a black panel with nothing there. Ideally, the only cables that you should be able to see from the front will be the PCIe power connector for the GPU, the motherboard power, and the SSD cables. And overall, I just wanted to have a much cleaner look on the front of the case, as that's what people will see when looking at the computer itself. Coming up is some video of Modern Warfare gaming on this RX 580 card. And once I get the new card installed, I will swap in some footage of the 5600 XT playing Modern Warfare. Alright, catch y'all on Flip, and I will update you in a bit.
Hold up, you're on your own. We have a personal radar drone ready. Personal radar drone ready for escort. Copy. Falcon 3 en route for personal radar coverage.
Alright, so as you can see here, we have completed the upgrade. We added the new video card, the RX 5600 XT, into the system, and additionally, we did clean up the cable management, and we moved the SSD drive to the back of the computer case. So as you see here, the Sapphire Pulse 5600 XT has some really nice red lighting effects, which matches perfectly with my case because the Enermax Equilence case only has red lighting on it. So it's nice that this card has only red lighting on it. As you can see, it has a metal backplate with a nice red, gray, and black color scheme. Just to add a little bit of eye candy here. Goes really nice with my Corsair Vengeance Pro RGB RAM, and it just has a much nicer look overall versus the old MSI RX 580 video card that I used to have. So we look here at where the SSDs used to be mounted. It's just a flat black panel now. It seems to blend in fairly well. I imagine when it gets a little bit more dusty, it'll probably blend in a lot better. As for the wiring, obviously moving the SSDs to the back side of the case gets rid of a lot of that wiring, a lot of that clutter. There was one fan connector that was next to the motherboard power. I was able to move that wire to another connector on the motherboard itself, and I was able to tuck that in so you can't really see it. I rerouted the wiring for the liquid cooler, so hopefully it blends in a little bit more, doesn't really stand out. So if we look here at the computer now, the only really apparent cables are the 8-pin PCIe power connector for the video card, the motherboard power connector, and SATA cables for all of the hard drives on the back of the computer. So overall, it's a much cleaner design, a lot less clutter. And I guess in the future, if I do need to add more SSDs, I can go ahead and start putting them here onto the front. I just need to figure out some sort of mounting solution. So if we look here on the back of the case, it is quite cluttered, and I have all my cables for the most part wrapped up together. So it's not the worst I've seen, definitely not the best. I ended up mounting one of the SSDs with Velcro tape, and I zip tied the wires to kind of hold the SSD towards the chassis. So I'm pretty confident that the SSD will stay secure because it doesn't have wires kind of pulling at it. But we'll see what happens. I was actually able to mount the other SSD in the basement underneath the 3.5-inch hard drive. I did have to rerun SATA power connectors. They aren't the most flexible, and I have several other components in this build that require SATA connectors. Yeah, the SATA power connectors are one of the biggest headaches in this build, just because I have so many components that utilize it, and overall satisfactory cable management here on the back. So yeah, everything works good. SSDs work perfectly. New video card works great. Had a noticeable jump in frame rates on Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and with that, this upgrade is completed. So thanks for joining me, and coming up next, some footage of Call of Duty Modern Warfare on the new Sapphire Pulse AMD RX 5600 XT video card. And with that, catch y'all on the flip.
Team deathmatch. We've got enemy inbound, lock and load. Got a personal radar drone ready for escort.